Summoner's War is having its 10-year anniversary right now, and there's a ton of stuff going on. It's going on for like a year. There's tons of events, tons of free legendaries and stuff to have, limited time things, all very obtainable, very approachable. And it's very clear that in this 10-year anniversary, they're basically saying thank you to the player base for keeping us relevant for 10 years, right? On top of that, they're doing a collab right now with The Witcher. So there's a lot of people very excited about this collab. That is a pretty cool collab to have. So there's a bunch of units, and as it goes, it's similar to the Monster Hunter collab going on right now, right? There's new units and new. There's a lot more in Summoner's War. We won't get into that because this isn't about Summoner's War. But I know without even logging in to check out the Witcher event, there's some things that I know I can expect. I know that there's going to be one free legendary that I'm going to get basically just for showing up. It may be a little bit time gated. I may have to log in for a few days. I may have to participate in some things, but I'm not going to be boxed out of it. It's not going to be a grind. It's going to be a bit of a formality. I show up enough, I'm going to get this legendary. I know there's going to be limited time scrolls for the event that give me collab units. I know there's probably going to be a limited time game mode, at least one, that's going to be different from the rest of the gameplay specific to this collab. I know there's going to be good packs available if I wanted to spend some money. I know it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be approachable. I know that I would be able to miss some days and not miss anything ultimately. And it occurred to me that that's kind of a condensed summary. That's a bit of a summary of the big problem with Plarium. And that's that no one has that faith in Plarium. No one that I talk to, no one that I know has any faith that Plarium's going to do the good thing or the right thing. No one has any faith that anything is going to be approachable. It's a given at this point that it's not going to be that way. You know what I mean? I have never seen a developer have to do so little. I've never seen so little be required to receive any praise. All they have to do is drop new content that doesn't break the game. And everybody's pretty happy with that. And I'm guilty of this. I praised Cursed City and still do to a degree. But if we're really going to zoom out and accept this for what it is, it's repurposed content. There's one new boss in here. But really, the rewards are pretty long-term, as is everything in Raid. They're kind of hard to get. You can play around on normal, but you're not going to get much out of it, right? If you can't play it on hard, you're not really coming away with much. It's been no progress in the way of getting to the Mythic Champ. So like it's all there, but really when you break it down, there's nothing new. This is repurposed content with a new boss in the middle of it. It's nothing special, honestly, but it released without breaking the game, and it's semi-approachable. They did add a normal mode, so you could at least participate in it if you wanted to, but that's it. And it went over pretty well. Everybody's ultimately pretty happy with it, which is, again, I think it says a lot about what the state of the relationship is between Plarium and player. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is not the worst thing. All they have to do is not an awful thing for everybody to be like, nice, cool. But most of the time, you can expect the worst. And that's the case. Fusions, for example. This is the only game I've ever played where you can commit to something for 2 or more weeks, miss one single thing in it. Miss one single thing of one single thing in it, and then be disqualified from the entire thing completely. The whole 2 weeks. You can be completely disqualified because you missed one part of one thing. It's the only game I've ever seen make something that crucial. The Titan events and Path events and Deck of Fate events, they're all awful. Someone posted in my Discord recently that they, against their better judgment, decided they were going to try to go for this 5-star Red Sulfur Zenogre. And wouldn't you know it, the second shard event came around, and it's too many shards because you don't really ever get to know how many shards are actually going to be required. They can just decide whenever they want that the point threshold is going to be different. So you don't even really get to plan for it. You just have to hope that they're going to be reasonable with the amount of shards required to do it. And in this case, they were not. And this person who had plenty of resources saved still is unable to do it because it just requires too many shards and there's not enough shards available to do it. And there were people that defend it still and say, well, if you just manage your resources, but part of managing your resources is picking and choosing what you do and don't participate in, which is also a bit of a gamble. And why should that be necessary? Why should you have to pick and choose what you participate in at the risk of not getting to participate in other things in a mobile game? Like this, I tell people when I have people ask me about starting a YouTube channel and they say, you know, what do you think about this idea? And I always have the same answer, and that's there's an audience for everything. I think you should make a YouTube channel about whatever you want to make a YouTube channel about because I think there's an audience for everything. And that holds true even here. There's even an audience for being manipulated and mistreated. There's still a core cult following that Plarium has developed that in every single one of these videos I make where I criticize them and talk about the negative things that they're doing, these people will show up and defend Plarium to me in my comments. There truly is an audience for everything. There's nothing to defend here. It's a mobile game, guys. It's the idea that they want to lean so heavy into the sacrifice and that they respect your real life time so little is really indefensible. It's not okay. I don't even understand how you get to a point where you defend it. One of the things people say is, again, if you just manage your resources, you'll be able to play. That is not true. There is nobody that's free to play. I don't care how far you are in the game. There's nobody that's free to play that's doing every single fusion, every single fate event, every single path event, every single Titan event. It's not happening. There is no way anybody's accumulating enough resources as a free-to-play player to do everything that Plarium does. You didn't get all the Monster Hunter champs. You just didn't. You just don't get to participate unless you spend money. And of course the goal is to make money. They're a business. But Plarium's the only one I've ever seen that just is so blatant about it. That is so aggressive in the, you either spend money or you don't get to participate. There is a gate here. There is a price of admission if you truly want to participate in everything we're going to do. I've never seen it. Watcher of Realms, when they do fusions, their version of fusions, you can get 2 copies of the fusion usually, which means you can go about it very casually and get your 1 copy, which is the way it should be. It is a mobile game, right? There's a way to strike a balance where your diehard, serious, full-time, 10-hour plus a day players can still get something for their time, but also cater a little bit to your more casual players without making them feel excluded from everything. I just don't feel like anybody's spending money because they feel forced to. There are some examples of where that's probably happening, sure. But I think for the most part, people spend money in these games because they enjoy the game and they feel seen. That's what converted me in Summoner's War. My first year or so of Summoner's War, way back in the day, I was free to play because I couldn't wrap my head around spending in a mobile game. I was one of those people that was just like, why would I spend money in a phone game? Like that seemed crazy to me. And then it clicked one day. I've been playing this game for a year. I play it way more than I play anything on my Xbox 360 at the time, I think it was. Why would I not spend money in the game if for no other reason than to just say thank you to the developers who have made this game that I clearly enjoy, played it all day, every day for years. Why would I not spend a little bit of money in the game, right? At no point was it ever like, well, crap, I can't do this if I don't spend money. I can't beat this content. I can't participate in this. I never felt bullied into it. It's because I spent time in the game and eventually decided it was worth putting a little money in. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so strange that Plarium doesn't even want to try that approach. That's so interesting. It's such a shame that we can always expect manipulation and negativity and be correct. I didn't even try this Titan event. I learned my lesson on the last one. And I already knew before I started the last one, but I did the last one to kind of make a point. To kind of make a point and to kind of test it, right? I wanted to make sure. I figured it was time for a refresher. I wanted to test this theory, basically. And we found out it was true. They're going to make it seem very doable up to a point, and then they're going to hit you with some summon events that are almost certainly going to be beyond your reach. And isn't it interesting that there's so much fluctuation in the points required for summon events? Isn't it so interesting that you don't ever know in advance? There's no set amount for summon events. You never really get to plan. Sometimes it's 3,000, sometimes it's 4,000, sometimes it's something else. That is strange. I don't know how they're coming up with those numbers. I don't know if they're looking at their data and seeing how many shards everybody has sitting in their account, coming up with an average and putting the point threshold above that average. Certainly wouldn't want to accuse them of anything like that, but it makes you wonder, right? Makes you wonder what's going on. It's just a bummer. They're literally, in the 10 years that I've been doing this, the only mobile game developer I've ever seen that behaves this way. I've never seen a mobile game developer so aggressively try to manipulate their players and box their players out of participating in things and get away with it to the extent that Plarium has continued to get away with it. It's amazing what the power of a marketing budget can do. But anyway, I don't know. I thought that was just kind of an interesting conversation to have. Interesting to hear your thoughts on it. How many of you participated in this and did fine until you got to the summoning part? I bet it's a lot. I bet that's most of you. I bet most of you did fine in this until they started dropping summon events, and then it was like, oh, so it's that many points this time. Okay, cool. I don't have that. And don't forget, there's a fusion right around the corner that it sounds like is being hyped up to be a pretty significant fusion. Be a real bummer if you burned all your shards trying to get a 5 stars in Ogre Soul that you're not going to get because you didn't have enough shards for the second summon event. It always comes down to shards. Always. It always comes down to shards. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that they just continue to do that? So, yeah. I guess that's it. I guess I got nothing else. The problem with Plarium is that I think most of us expect negative things to come, and we're almost always right. What a bummer. What a bummer that is to be a raid player sometimes, huh? Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Interested to hear your thoughts on this one. I'll see you guys later.